right, Horvey, let's head out to the Wild Wild West, Wild Wild West, which is fitting because that is the death draw for a lot of teams. I mentioned it with Rocco Miller. It's a murderer's row in this region. We talked about it last night with our buddy Rob Doster there at the field of 68. Your top four seeds, again, the Florida Gators, who are the favorite to cut down the nets and win the whole shebang this season. A lot of people thought it would be Duke, maybe Auburn. That might have been the case a couple of weeks ago, but with Florida winning the SEC title and doing so in convincing fashion, they are getting the nod right now. And the sports betting markets there at BetMGM. So Florida's the one. St. John's, amazingly, the two. That's a tough draw for Rick Pitino's club. The three being the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Very talented squad out of Lubbock, though they got to get healthy. And the Maryland Terrapins in that Turtle Power fighting Scott Van Pelt as the number 4 seed. Certainly a dark horse in this region. But let's talk Cinderellas. And again, the definition of this is the 10 seed, and I'd rather it be a little bit deeper than that. I'm winning at least 1 or 2 games. So getting a little bit deeper in the bag, maybe a 12, or maybe even 11 seed. Who do you like to win a game or 2 in the West region?
Yeah, I've fallen in love with this Drake team, so I'll actually go back to them here. So they're in 11. I like this matchup against Missouri. And we saw this, 2 years ago now in the tournament, right, when Princeton beat Missouri. Kind of the same style of ball, right? Like Drake is, I know you like the over in the game, but, all season long, they're going to slow you down. I like this team. Now, they don't have the same caliber type of athlete that Missouri does. Missouri's a really good basketball team, too, don't get me wrong, but I like Drake, man. We talked about the non-con. They beat Vandy, so they beat an SEC opponent. They beat Kansas State outright. I like Drake. I like this draw for them. So I got them in the upset over Missouri, and then I think they could win another game. I think that they might be the darlings. I think they might be a Sweet 16 team, and then Ben McCollum's definitely going to be the next head coach at Indiana. But I'll go with our guy. I'll go with the Drake. I've been in love with them all year long. It was a tough year. Everybody was Team Kendrick, but I think Drake bounces back in 2025.
Yeah, and what do we never do on this show?
Never fade the Drake.
Fade the Drake. Yeah, we love the Drake. Hate the Drake, love the Drake. Hate the Drake. No, we absolutely love the Drake. And again, we never fade the Drake. I love Colorado State. Rocco Miller, brought them up. And this team is such a wagon offensively right now. How much of a wagon? Well, they're number 8 overall on board Torvik's Advanced Analytics over the last 10 games, where they are number 1 in the stinking country, folks. An effective field goal percentage. Offense, they're netting 56.6% for 2, and this is real, and it's just utterly ridiculous. It's greater than spectacular. 47.4% from 3, and it's not like they're only taking 5 threes in a given game. Over 40% of their shots are coming from distance, so they're just sopping wet from beyond the arc, and I think that's going to be more of the case against a Memphis Tigers team. You look at the predictive analytics, very middle of the road, number 51 overall in the season, according to Bar Torvik. Now, you look at the EFG offense and EFG defense, barely inside the top 65. They're balanced across the board. But this is a team that's, kind of subpar in three-point D. Now, they're very good in three-point offense, and a team that just kind of beats themselves and leaves a lot of points at the charity stripe. They're only 70.2% on their freebies. It's number 250 in the country. And as we mentioned, Tyrese Hunter is not going to play. He's out for the tournament. He's got a foot injury, folks. And that's your starting guard. And what is the NCAA tournament all about? Well, it's all about the floor general. It's all about that point man play. They're going to be missing that dude. I think Colorado State rips in a new one. I know that danger. Oh, watch yourself. Dane Danger has been great. He's a double-doubles machine, the former Fighting Illini standout who was on a Elite 8 team last year. But give me CSU, man. Jalen Lake has been getting shots. Crocker Johnson's been nailing jumpers. They got a lot of guys, even more than Nee Clifford, who, by the way, is averaging 26 points over the last handful of games. They will not be denied. They were a favorite for a reason. I'm going to lay the chalk with them, and I think they're going to win not just one game. They got a shot of knocking off Maryland as well there in the round of 32. So do not sleep too hard on the Mountain West representatives. All right, let's go to a mid-seed sleeper. Again, within that 4 to 10 seed range. Who stands out to you?
Yeah, so the two teams in the Big Ten, man, it's like are the same for me. Maryland and Illinois, where I could see them getting beat. Honestly, opening weekend, not so much Illinois, but I could also see them both making runs to the Elite Eight, maybe even the Final Four. I like this Maryland team a lot. I like the starting five a lot. I have this weird feeling, man, that Derek Queen and Julian Reese are going to be household names. Now, I know that Grand Canyon's a popular pick. I do think Grand Canyon probably covers, the double-digit spread, but I think Maryland talent takes over in the second half of that game, and they win outright. That's why if I'm going to bet it, I'm going to take Grand Canyon with the points in the first half and then probably look to play Maryland live. Like we saw Grand Canyon knock off St. Mary's in the NCAA tournament in a 5-12 matchup. But Grand Canyon was the more athletic team. I think Maryland has the better athletes than Grand Canyon. Also, like if you watch Grand Canyon play, they draw a lot of fouls. Maryland just doesn't really foul. And that's why I do trust them, because that was my one concern with this Terps team is their depth. But I actually kind of like what I saw from the bench. The last couple games as well, and in the tournament from them as well. So I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. Both teams are going to look to push the pace. I'm not going to touch an over, but I like the Terps to win a couple games maybe here in the tournament, and I would love it, especially being local.
All right, I'm not going to even follow my own rules. I kind of like the 3 seed here in Texas Tech, and I want to have a conversation about them because there's somebody that could really disrupt the West region and ruin the party and rain on the parade of Florida and St. John's. I think it's the Red Raiders, man. We have talked about guns up often on the show throughout this college basketball season. They got to get right. They got to get healthy. McMillan, we don't know about his status. We know about Williams' status as well, but Christian Anderson is there. The guy is an absolute gunner. He's got limitless range. JT Toppin is just insane in the membrane, insane in the brain in terms of double-doubles that he brings. He's so tough in the post. They're very well-oiled defensively as well, can play variable paces. And here's the most crazy stat about Texas Tech. If you look over the last 30 days, 52.7% of their shots, Horvey, have come from beyond the arc. 52.7%. The mid-range game be damned, and they're hitting a pretty asinine amount of those, 37.5%. So they live by the 3 quite often, and if that carries over and they get key bodies back, that's a team very capable of making some noise and winning not just 1 or 2 games, but maybe even 3, making it Elite Eight, and really pushing the Florida Gators, assuming the Gators get to Elite Eight, for the rights to go to San Antonio. Let's talk about the region winner now. Is it the Florida Gators? Are you going to clack and roll the dice, say, on a St. John's? They're 4-1 at BetMGM to represent this region, or somebody else a little bit further down the list?
I really wanted to pick anybody but Florida just because of the way that they're trending, right? Like, I wish I bet Florida futures early this season. Now everybody's in love with them. They're the number 1 overall seed. They're the favorite now. They've actually overtaken Duke and both, obviously Auburn as well. But I can't do it, man. I mean, this team's awesome, right? They just kind of like dog walked the entire SEC, the best conference in all of college basketball. So I'm going to be chalky here. I like Florida. I know you brought this up off the air. You could parlay some of these teams, kind of like them and Duke, to make a run to the Final Four. I think I'm going to go chalk, but I like the Gators, man. I'm not picking against them.
I can't either, man. It's super chalky. I have a 13-1 ticket out on them that I took about a month ago. And you want to talk about CLV. It's looking mighty fine, real nice right now. So, I think the Florida Gators are the team to beat. You're going to hear their name a little bit later on. We get down to our Final Four national title game. Will they be the champ? You got to stick around and find out. But, I think Florida's certainly the team to beat in the West. This could be their toughest test in the entire NCAA tournament, just escaping that region unscathed.